Let's talk about that time as a Christian I almost got into a fight with a Muslim. So I'm gonna go back a little bit and give you, this is gonna bring you to some parts of my life that I don't really talk about a lot, but I was in jail. I was locked up, and I was talking to another friend of mine who was also locked up, and we were sitting on our bed area and we were having a conversation. And as we were talking, another guy walked up who I didn't really know. And in the middle of our conversation, I was sharing my faith. We were talking about God. I was sharing the Bible to this other guy. And in the midst of the conversation, he asked me something, about other religions, and somehow or another Islam came up. And out of my mouth, I said that Islam was devil worship. And I didn't know that the guy who was standing there was a Muslim. So as soon as I said Islam was like devil worship because it wasn't of God, so anything that's not of God is of the devil, that was my thought process on saying that. So I didn't know. As soon as I said that, the guy who was standing there, who was a Muslim, and I didn't know at that time, he walked away. And the other guy who was my friend who I was talking to, who happened to also be friends with him, he said, you better go get ready. He said, I know him. He's going to get a knife. I said, he's going to get a knife. And in my mind, I said, well, why? He said, man, that dude was a Muslim. And it hit me in my mind. I said, oh, I know what I just said. This is about to go bad. So I go to my area, where my bunk area is, and I put my tennis shoes on, and I start looking for something that I can fight back with against a knife. I grabbed some, I'm looking for something that I can use as a weapon, because I don't have a weapon. I'm not ready. I'm not strapped up. I don't have a blade on me. I don't have one readily available. So I got my shoes on. I'm watching him. He's watching me. I'm seeing him reach and grab stuff. And I don't see the knife, but I know he's grabbing something. So, the tension's high. So my friend comes up to me and he says, "What you gonna do?" I said, "Whatever he wants to do, that's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna back down. I'm gonna fight. I'm not gonna cower. I don't really want to fight, but I will fight. We'll do whatever we got to do, and I may get stabbed in the process." So he goes talk to the other guy. He tells me, he said, let me see if we can work something out to where neither one of y'all get into anything crazy. I don't want to see nobody get hurt. And so I say, okay. I'm watching the other guy. He's pacing. He's got himself. He's, I guess he's in his mind. He's trying to say, I got to do this. I got to defend my faith, because I dishonored his faith by saying what I said, according to him. So he goes talk to him. The guy comes back to me, not my friend, but the Muslim comes toward me. And I stand in my area. I don't go toward him. He comes to me, and I'm in my little bunk area. And he says, let me ask you a question, man. He says, do you believe what you say? That's what he asked me. He said, do you believe what you said over there, that you said that Islam was like devil worship? Are you willing to stand up and say that again? I said, yes, I believe what I said. I said, I believe in Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven. He took a deep breath and he looked at me. He said, as long as I've been a Muslim, I never had nobody ever stand up and say that to me when I confronted them, with the reality that something violent can happen. He said, you're still willing to say that Jesus is the only way in front of me, even though, this can possibly turn into something. I said, yes, Jesus is the only way to heaven. Jesus is who I believe in, and I'm a Christian. That's what I believe. And everything else that's against Jesus is of the enemy, the devil. He said, I respect that you still stand on what you believe in. So he said, out of all the Christians I ever met, I never had nobody, stand up for their faith like you, and I respect that. And obviously, I believe different than you. I think your Christianity is actually wrong, and it's of the devil. I said, I understand, and he understood me. We came to some mutual agreement. Nothing kicked off. And come to find out that I wasn't the only Christian friend he had. He had a friend who used to send him a lot of stuff, and his friend would send him Christian books, and he never read them. He always put them away. He just was somebody he respected. So he's the one who wound up giving me Mere Christianity, and that's when I actually read Mere Christianity, and I wound up becoming really good friends with this Muslim. He tried to convert me over time, but it never happened. It was never going to happen. So that's just my story, for standing up in my faith and being willing to fight if I had to. I didn't want to fight, But if it would have went down to it, I would have fought for my beliefs. You know, I would have, you know, I mean, if he would have hit me or, you know, stabbed me, I wasn't going to be stabbed and killed on that spot. I would have did what I could to defend myself, just keep living, you know. So, you know, stand for your faith. Don't be scared to stand for your faith. You know, stand strong in the faith and stand strong for God. No matter what, turbulent times may come, persecution may come, death may come. We know in the end times, the Bible talks about beheading Christians. It talks about persecution for Christians. The church in the New Testament, they suffered persecution. You know, Jesus suffered persecution. We have to be willing as Christians to stand and take persecution. We can't back down from our faith and our belief. Jesus is everything we have. We can't be cowards when it comes to the faith. Yeah, you know, you got to use discernment. When is the right time to turn the left and right cheek? And when's the right time to give your shoes over, you know, with your cloak? You know, there's a time for every season under heaven. And we're living in a time where backing down from our faith is not an option. The world is devouring our faith. They're twisting and changing the Bible every single day, saying who can do what. You know, they're changing the word. They're trying to silence us as Christians. We need to be strong and be bold. We need to stand up and stand out for our faith. Don't be a Christian who cowers. Be a Christian who's willing to stand up for the faith. There are Christians who are losing their lives in nations that are antagonistic toward Christians. There are nations that persecute Christians. Get in the game, man, especially if you're living in America. You know, don't be scared to stand up for your faith. Stand right, you know, stand for righteousness. Even in the workforce, you know, if you hear somebody, you know, don't partake in something you don't need to supposed to partake in. Stand for Jesus. Let's get this.